We're alive. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another incredible stream, another incredible masterclass today with Skill Hat. Today, we are going to be learning about insider secrets. Today, we're going to be learning about insider secrets, how complete beginners are landing remote cybersecurity roles and earning six figures really, really fast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Mo, founder here at Skill Hat. What I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to set us up to go live. There we go. So we are now live. I've now set us up to go live. We're now live on multiple platforms. We're live on Instagram. We are live on YouTube. We are live on LinkedIn. Excited. Let's get a feel for who's in the room. We have a lot of folks registered today, and people are trickling in. All right, I can see Mr. Babajide Akintoku. Good to see you. Thank you for being here, sir. A lot of other folks. If you are in the chat and you can see me and you can hear me, give me a hello in the chat. If you can see me and you can hear me, give me a hello in the chat. Let me know that you're here if you can see me and hear me. Okay. Now, I'm going to start with a few icebreakers while folks start to join. Again, we are talking about how complete beginners are landing remote jobs in cybersecurity and earning six figures. So today, whether you are an experienced techie or you are new to cybersecurity, you will get lots of valuable nuggets and information that will help you to learn cybersecurity skills and then choose to either become a project manager, in security, or a full-time security expert. So let's kick it off now. I want to get to know you. Where are you currently located? If you are in the room, let me know where you're located. I'm broadcasting live from Toronto, Canada. The weather's getting a lot better here. I can't wait for the spring to kick in full effect, and then the summer, which is my favorite part of the year. But you let me know, where are you tuning in from? On these streams, we always have people from all over the world. What city are you in and what country? So I see Brenda is in Canada. Welcome, Brenda. Anyone else, let me know. What city and or country are you tuning in from? Let me know. Now, I see Charles from Florida. Land O'Lakes. Interesting. Not quite sure where Land O'Lakes is, but welcome. Halifax, Canada, from Chetna. Incredible. Love it. Now, I like to get a feel, and shout out to Brandon from New York, one of the most expensive, but also the most fun places in the world. I want to talk about what you currently do. What do you currently do for a living? Derek, my man, Derek, good to see you. What do you currently do for a living right now? So what I do for a living, I am founder at Skill Hat. Over the past 11 years, I've worked in tech in project management, leading security projects, leading web development projects, mobile cloud. I grew to become a VP of a $100 million company. I'll share more about myself. But what do you do in the room? What are you currently doing? I want you to share what you do. What is your goal? What role do you want to land next? I want to know who's in the room so that we can tailor the content to you. So two-part question, what do you do right now? And where are you trying to go? That's the next question. Okay. So let me know in the chat. I love to get a feel for who's who in the Zoom. Let me now share my screen as the next step. Let's go into, we're going to go with this tab. Actually, we have two tabs, so we'll keep one. There we go. We're going to share this one. Fantastic. So what do you guys do right now? Let me know. We have, I see a project manager in the room. We have some security professionals in the room already, which is fantastic. So let me know what you do. Now, we are going to be getting into the material right away. Let's jump in. A bit more about who we are at Skill Hat. We're a training and staffing company. We're based in Toronto, Canada, and have grown out to Houston, Texas. And we train people in tech skills and put them in tech jobs. Oh, by the way, if you can see my screen, I want you to type screen in the chat, or just let me know I can see your screen. Right? If you can see my screen, just type screen in the chat so I know y'all can see. We train people in tech skills and put them in tech jobs. With us, you can pivot, transition, and grow with a mentor right by your side. Thank you, Chinosa, for letting me know you can see the screen. You belong here if you want to A, transition into tech, strategy, or management, or B, you're a newcomer to US or Canada, looking to hit the ground running and have an amazing career here, or you want to get certified or get promoted, or you are a new grad. Now, if you're in the room, you may be feeling stuck in a job that doesn't excite you, and you want to transition to a six-figure career paying six figures or more, and you want to get it done in a way that's not painful, doesn't disrupt your schedule, and is enjoyable. If that's you, type me in the chat. If you're looking to make that transition, type me in the chat. Okay, if you're looking to make that transition, I want you to type me in the chat. I'm going to scroll all the way down and share something with you, because right now, okay, I see some more comments in the chat. I love it. Chetna working as a project coordinator and exploring opportunities in IT. I see a bunch of other folks saying, yes, that's you. You want to make that transition to a six-figure job. Now, I see PM looking to transition to a cybersecurity job. Awesome. The world is in a very delicate place right now. Everyone can feel it. There's so much tension going on around, a lot of uncertainty. There's the tariffs happening. Donald Trump came in and slapped us in Canada with tariffs, slapped Chinese with the tariffs. And then he's saying to the Americans that now y'all have to pay extra to use and purchase Canadian equipment for manufacturing, trying to mess up these trade agreements that have been in there for decades and years. Now we have trade wars between US and Canada, and when they say whenever two elephants are fighting, who gets in trouble? The grass, the people who are not the top leaders, right? I don't know what happened. Y'all voted him in, and we're seeing a lot of crazy stuff happen right now that's causing things to not look good with regards to the stock market, regards to labor market. And then we're also seeing lots of layoffs. You know, I see Chatna in the chat right now, just right now. 5 minutes ago said I lost my job. 1 minute ago, I lost my job. We're seeing loss of people, even with amazing skills, get laid off, companies downsizing in fear of a coming recession. And my advice to you is this: don't be observant, because you might be thinking to yourself, is this even the right time to invest in myself, transition to a new role, learn some tech skills? Who knows what's going to happen, right? Because the other thing we're seeing, I had it on my screen, it was what's happening with AI. We're seeing that there's a lot of uncertainty with what's going to happen, you know, with regards to the labor market because of AI. What jobs are going to go away? What jobs are going to stay? How will my job change? Warren Buffett, one of our most prolific investors of our time, says, be fearful when others are greedy. When everyone's greedy, buying into something, whatever it is, a stock, a Ponzi scheme, whatever it is, just be fearful, be watchful. But when everyone's fearful, be greedy. Okay? When everyone is unsure, looking and observing, afraid, that is when you take action, you double down on your position. Because when the housing market's low and everyone's selling their houses, you want to buy because you can get a discount on the housing, for example. And so when everyone is unclear what to do, you want to identify what are the right skills that I can invest in and double down on now that will carry me for the next 10 years or 20 years or my whole career and catapult me to success. You don't want to watch, you want to take action. And why would you listen to this guy's advice? What does he know? Well, Warren Buffett is the only billionaire in the top 10 of 2025 who actually made money this year, which is crazy. The top 10 billionaires, from Elon Musk to Sergey Brin, founder of Google, Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg lost $179 billion this year. Again, we're talking about cybersecurity today, how beginners are landing remote cybersecurity roles. I'm going somewhere with this. We're going to talk about how to land an amazing, incredible security role as a security project manager, program manager, GRC specialist, risk analyst, etc. But I'm setting this up to say, this is the time not to just observe and say, I'm not sure what's happening. You want to take action right now. Because like I said, when others are fearful, you want to double down and be greedy. And so Warren Buffett says do this. Now, he is the only billionaire who made money in the last year. And so my advice to you is you want to double down on cybersecurity now. That is my advice. If you want to figure out where do I double down, where do I invest my time, energy, and skills, I recommend cybersecurity, and we're going to show you why. There's two places to double down on investing your time, energy, and skills. Two places that are guaranteed right now. Cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. Those are two places where you want to get as skilled as possible and go all in right there because you're not going to lose. With AI, the world, 75% of businesses today are implementing AI, 75% across the world. People are saying AI is actually going to change the world just as much or even more than when electricity was invented. Electricity. Imagine being the guy seeing the first light bulb spark through electricity and everyone else is using torchlights and fires. You're going to double down and invest there. But they're saying that AI might even have more of an impact than electricity and the web. Incredible. So we know we're going to invest there. But because AI is taking off so much, there's lots of security concerns because we have to then upgrade our security infrastructure to keep ourselves secure with artificial intelligence. Because the AI itself can also now start to hack. How do you create AI to stop the AI? Right? So we're going to get into all that today. We're going to cover the big career opportunity in cybersecurity, a deep dive in cybersecurity GRC, which I'll tell you what that means. It means governance, risk, and compliance, the non-technical part of cybersecurity. We're going to talk about the common roles in that space, real-world examples of case studies and frameworks of our incredible speakers today, what you're going to do day-to-day in these jobs, how to get certified, and how to even avoid getting certified, right? How do you get the job without going through the hoops? And then how to make that transition from any background into a high-paying, high-demand, future-proof cybersecurity career. If you are interested in this, and this is exciting to you, type I in the chat. If you want to learn about these, type I in the chat for me, okay? A bit more about myself, right? You know, I know the feeling all too well because before I found my true calling in tech, I was working dead-end jobs. I used to do door-to-door sales, lawn aeration, club promoter. I was just a hustler trying to make it, but I was stressed. I was exhausted. And I doubled down on the tech career by learning IT and business at the University of Toronto. And I just found joy in my work and I've landed multiple six-figure roles. In the last 12 years, I haven't been unemployed for more than 2 months at one time, like in total, in the last 12 years, right? The market's tough right now, but we're going to show you some tricks and tips to double down on the right places to go. Okay, because no one should have to sacrifice their dreams, their well-being, or their financial security because you deserve it all. You can have it all. So let's keep it going. Now, who's today for? Today is for any business professional who wants to pivot into tech and cybersecurity, or maybe you're already in cybersecurity and you want to land your next big opportunity, or you want to just network with myself and the speakers. Okay. Now, we took a survey. There's a WhatsApp group of people who are in this room right now. Everyone's on a WhatsApp group. I think we have 140 people in that WhatsApp group and more. We asked people, what is your biggest challenge right now with breaking into cybersecurity? The number one challenge we saw is I don't have a tech background. And we're going to debunk that today and say, first of all, how do you actually build that tech background that you don't have in a short time? Because no one was born with a tech background at birth. Right? How do you build that background that you need? And truly, how do you avoid limiting yourself by saying, I don't have a 4-year degree? You don't need a 4-year degree to be able to work in cybersecurity. Other challenges people are saying is I'm overwhelmed by all the certifications and they're also expensive. We're going to talk about which ones are important and which ones you can avoid for now at least, right? Because you want to get a job and then get the job to pay you to get certified, which is how you want to do it. Some are saying, I don't know what roles I even qualify for. We're going to talk about that. And then some are saying, I don't even know how to get the experience to get the full-time job. Some are saying, I don't have interviews. So we're going to debunk all these different things and break down how do you solve these different problems. I'm going to skip my intro for now. I'll come back to it a little bit later. But a few things I want to show you about SkillHat Number one, we have an incredible alumni community. We have alumni at the top companies in the world. TD Bank, Amazon, Loblaw, Spotify. This week alone, we secured well over 300K in total job offers this week alone that just passed. Belgian went from making 45K, I think, to over 90K. Jennifer got a new software developer job. We had a security analyst get a recent position as well. So you can tap into that network to get referrals through SkillHat. We have some great success stories. I want you to just watch a few of these because people are worried and unsure. But even in this job market, we're seeing young Black women like Shirley on screen land a job going from making 30K a year to now making 30K a month. 30K a month from 30K a year. Here's a photo of her sent to me. She said, I bought a Mercedes. I'm like, wow, we did this. When I met this lady, she was unhappy. Her boyfriend had just scammed her of all her money. She gave us her last dollar and said, help me. I'm in customer service. I need to increase my income. And she did that through SkillHat. Her first property she purchased. Let's watch her video for 30 seconds real quick.
$30,000 a year to now making over $30,000 a month.
So yes, that figure is accurate. Maybe a little bit more. I'm where I am today because of the program. Right after we finished the program with SkillHat, they helped me with like my resume prep, job prep. I just be like, okay, well, I'm going to the market, right? I got a lot of interviews and eventually I got an offer. A month after the program, I got an offer, came to tech. Like, remember, I have no tech experience. I don't.
Yeah.
So that's her story, going from making 30K a year to 30K a month. The full video is on YouTube. You can just Google Shade Reed, 300K a year, SkillHat. She's talking about her story from customer service to ITBA. But here's a success story in cybersecurity. Ubong, who you're going to meet today. She went from being a lawyer to now being a data protection officer and a cybersecurity expert. If like everyone knows lawyers are not tech savvy traditionally. If she can do it, you can do it too. They said that if you have a strong accent and you're an immigrant, you can't be successful as a leader in tech. Well, Yashika proved them wrong. She was an insurance advisor when she came to SkillHat, and we helped her land a really good job as an agile project coordinator with TD Bank, and now she's a senior scrum master at RBC Bank. Doubled her income, right? Here's my guy, Curtis. I love this guy's story because this guy's story is so interesting to me because when he came to SkillHat, he was a plumber, and now he's a six-figure IT project manager. Let's watch his story for 30 seconds. And I'm showing you these because I want you to believe, because if you believe you can do it, and you have that mindset, then your success is inevitable, right? So I want to build that conviction in you guys. Let's watch his story real quick of how he did it. Plumber, but he wanted to become another example is a guy called Curtis. He was actually a plumber, but he wanted to become a project manager. So he took our program, and here's his amazing testimony.
The last thing that Mo mentioned in the last class, it was a career coaching class. You said, apply for something in your expertise. What was I good at? Where am I a domain expert in? That's why I wanted to start. I wanted to land a full-time PM role. I utilized the tools you provided in the Google Drive. Simple as that. After we completed the course, I went through every document, everything you provided to us. Throughout our journey, I utilized the template and I mimicked that template for my resume. I feel really good where I'm in life right now. I'm in a good headspace. As I mentioned earlier, I have a work-life balance. I'm able to put my kids on the school bus in the morning. I'm able to go walking at the park with my wife before I start work in the morning. I don't sit in traffic anymore. I literally have a home office now.
If you're saying to yourself, I want to work on exciting, innovative projects, as you see, this is what Curtis said. He says, now I have a work-life balance. I have more time with family. I don't sit in traffic anymore. I have a home office. This is what it's about. Even though he went from, I think making maybe about, I think it was making 70K at the time to making well over six figures now. It's not just about the money. It's about the lifestyle. It's about the extra 2 hours in the morning he has with his kids and in the evening he has with his kids, right? You can't buy that. So it's about work-life balance, more time with the family. not sitting in traffic, even though it's funny because in that video when he called us, he was in traffic, but that was his choice, right? Not having back pain and all the money you made, you got to go use that for healthcare and physiotherapy and all that, right? And being able to take care of your home. This is what life is about, having the choices. And so without further ado, let's get into today's material. Now, there's three kinds of people in the room who are going to learn about the material. The first is some will listen and do nothing because maybe it's not a good fit or it's not a good time. Totally understandable. The second group, some will listen and take action on their own. They're going to go to YouTube and figure this out by themselves and land amazing jobs. I love it. Kudos to you. Now, the third group want to get it done faster. They don't want to make mistakes. They want to have a great experience. They want to have coaches by their side that they can call anytime, who've been there and done that. And they want to have a community around them of other successful people. If you're in that third group, want to get it done fast in a fun way with coaching and community, I want to work with you at SkillHat. Eddie wants to work with you. You're going to be Eddie and Umar right now in our community. So my advice to everybody is remove all distractions, right? Put the phone on silent, turn the phone off, just take notes. Just focus for 40 minutes. Right now, the human mind cannot focus at all. It's terrible what's happening. Turn that phone off and focus, ask questions. Number two is to start applying whatever you learn in the next 24 hours. There's something called the law of diminishing intent. The longer you delay in taking an action, the less likely you are to take that action. So if the action you want to take is to book a call with myself right now so we can talk one-on-one, if the action is to go read about the website, read about the programs we have, if the action is to enroll, take the action, right? You can always untake the action by disenrolling or stopping, but once you don't take any action, you're going to stay in the same spot. That's number two. Number three, take no stay till the end. I'll give you a bonus at the end. And so here's the funniest quote I've seen in the last few weeks by Rob. This guy is the top Shopify product manager. He said, in 2025, if you're still putting proficient in Microsoft Office on your resume, you're cooked. You're in trouble. It's like saying I have a pulse. Upgrade your skills or watch the world move on without you. And so with that being said, let's bring on our panelists. I'm going to bring on to the stage, first of all, Eddie. Eddie is a Chief Risk Officer at Sandbox Insurance. Eddie, how are you feeling today, sir?
Jordan, fantastic. Mo, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for coming today. Would you like to introduce yourself to the group, please?
Certainly. My name is Eddie Tatevi. I am the Chief Risk Officer at Sandbox. I'm also the Chief Compliance Officer, and I'm also the Corporate Secretary. So I hold all three roles, all three senior roles for governance as Corporate Secretary, for risk as Chief Risk Officer, and for compliance as Chief Compliance Officer. And I also will be one of the instructors in the cybersecurity program at SkillHat. So I'm looking forward to meeting all of you and just helping you in the industry.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Thanks for coming. Can't wait to hear some more from you. Our next speaker is Ubong. Ubong, you call it Ubi, Ubong. Welcome. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing well, Mo. Hi.
Hey, thank you so much for coming. Why don't you introduce yourself to the group?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ubongo Basil Boat, but feel free to call me Ubi, Ubong as Mo called me. I'm currently a data protection officer and senior privacy analyst at Xenia Tech Solutions. I'm data protection officer for Ireland and Canada. Really glad to meet you.
Awesome. So we're gonna stick with you because you have you made a very interesting transition from law into cybersecurity. So tell us about, first of all, why did you want to even go from law to security? What was the initial motivation for the why?
Truth, more money.
I thought lawyers made a lot of money already.
So at the time I was in the Gambia when I made this decision. So I was in the Gambia. I was working for a Pan-African organization around the African Union and African courts, full-on lawyer mode litigation. But then COVID hit and everybody went back home. Everything went dead. I couldn't go to court or anything. So I just knew that I need to put some tech into my skills. And so, voila, I decided to transition into a techie kind of role.
Sounds good. So really the work slowed down on the legal side, and you saw
It went
huge
dead. It
opportunity
wasn't
there.
even slow. It
It
went
went
dead.
dead.
Mhm.
So let's talk about what you saw. What was it that you saw in terms of security and tech that made it clear that you should invest energy and time here? What was the data points, or like what was happening that made it clear to you, I want to go here?
Basically, that's where the world was going, right? So I like to call myself the lawyer of the future. Because even if you're a lawyer and you're still doing like real litigation and stuff, you need to still put some tech in yourself. If not, you're going to be left behind anyways. And there's a lot of like risk like going on, so cybersecurity risk and all of that, and companies will always pay a huge truckload of money for you to be able to fix those problems. So basically, if you want the money, if you want to stay relevant, you need to find a way to solve the problems that companies currently have.
Fantastic. Let's go to Eddie. So Eddie, let's start from the beginning. Why don't you walk us through your story? Walk us through from like high level, your first job in the industry, and how you then transitioned into security, and then now becoming a chief risk officer at the C level.
Certainly. Thanks, Mo, for that question. So my first job, I was actually doing some teaching. So I've always been passionate about teaching. I was working for the University of Manitoba. My boss came up to me and she said, you should go practice everything you've learned, because I did an engineering degree. So I was very familiar with, I did computer science and then engineering, very familiar with the computer space and using computers. I transitioned into a tech role after that conversation with my boss, and an issue came up within the organization. And I put my hand up and I said, hey, I can solve this problem. I had never done anything security before that. I just decided to show my skills based on everything I've been doing at home with my personal projects, which we'll talk about later down the road. Some of the things you can do right now if you don't have a job. So I put my hand up, got this opportunity, and I excelled. I was offered the role. That's how it started. And once I got in, I started gaining knowledge. I got mentors that helped me. And then I transitioned, moved to other roles. I scouted the environment for where things were changing. I noticed that some privacy frameworks were changing in Quebec, that's in Canada. So I decided to get a job there, ended up working in the States, and now in my current role as Chief Risk and Compliance Officer at Sandbox.
Nice. That's great. Now, I want to kind of bridge Ubi here a little bit. So, what part did you play in helping Ubi get into cybersecurity, Eddie?
I think I should start with that story, right?
It's a very interesting story.
Yeah, let's talk about that story. You guys pick it up how you like to tell the story.
Okay, I will go first and then he goes, because I think both of
Sure.
us have like different angles to this story, right? So remember how COVID hit in 2020, 2021, 2022 and stuff. And I just started full blood mode networking with everyone. I mean, everyone. So I was attending webinars like this, looking out for people's names, looking out for the presenters' names, and adding them on LinkedIn. And I added Eddie, just like I added, like, I don't know the number, it was a lot. At some point, I think LinkedIn tried to block me because I was adding people too much. But I wasn't going to back down. I wanted a change. So I reached out to Eddie, I introduced myself. Basically, I just gave him an elevator pitch. I am this and that and that. I work in this space. I'm looking for something new. Here's my CV. I think my skills are valuable. I think you would need me. That's how I basically sold myself to him. And he came back and said, okay, let's see if I have space in my team. I will reach out. But I didn't stop there. I kept in touch with Eddie. So that's the thing about networking with people, right? So I asked Eddie, I said, look, how did you get your current role, right? Can you advise me on how you got your current role? And basically started to talk to him about different things that I was already doing, like trainings and my plans and the things that I was learning. And then that was it. And then I got a job actually that Eddie didn't give me. But we stayed on and we kept checking in on each other. He kept on checking in on me. I kept on checking in on him. And I think after 3 months or so, that when I got the job in London, Eddie just said, "Look, do you want the role? Consider your first interview done." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's go for second and third interview." And that was it, I think.
Gotcha. I didn't quite get the last part. So you had a position with a company, and then Eddie reached out to you to then hire you. Like, what happened exactly?
Oh no, so like you remember how so I reached out to Eddie like in April, and I told Eddie I needed something, and Eddie was like, "Oh, let's see if I have something," and that kind of thing. And then Eddie and I just kept on talking. We just kept on keeping in touch, right? But Eddie did not readily have a role, but I didn't stop talking to Eddie. We would schedule calls. I would talk to Eddie about the things that I was learning. He was helping me with my resume to apply for different jobs and kind of like positioning myself. Yeah, so that the other one, the one in London. So and then I got a role, and I happily went to tell Eddie, "Oh, I got this job in London. It's fantastic. It's a principal policy advisor position. I like it." And then 3 months after, Eddie reaches out to like say, "Do you want the role? I have the role now for you. Consider your first interview already done.
Oh wow.
You will have the second and third ones." So
So that's the power of networking. You network with him, and then he had a position for you. So actually, before we get into that, what did you have to learn going from being a lawyer to what was the first job title you had in cybersecurity?
so the very first one that bridged it for me was principal policy advisor position, because it was for digital policies. So basically, reading policies and translating those policies, for people who are working around those policies and laws. And then I got into senior privacy analyst position, full on risk analyst mode and stuff like that.
Got you. So it was a policy advisor role helping a business with security policy,
Mhm.
correct? And then you were a lawyer. So I guess two-part question. First part is what transferable skills did you have as a lawyer that enabled you to land that role? And then the second part is what did you have to learn in addition to those transferable skills?
Ooh, okay. So, as a lawyer, right, I had like three advantages going for me, right? The first one was my interdisciplinary advantage. So, going from laws to policies, I'd be able to read everything and translate them, into simple terms for software engineers and people who don't like to read. So, that was a big one for me. So, my communication skills too, right, as a lawyer, top notch, right? Just that ability to write down simple sentences for people who code sometimes don't like to read lengthy things, right? So you have to be very, very clear with, what you're writing and what you're saying to them. You don't have to be very wordy. You just need to tell them what to do. And so that went well for me. The second bit was my risk and compliance focus. Again, as a lawyer, I was all about laws and policies and all of that. So just being able to translate myself into that GRC part of the business really, really, really helped, as a lawyer. Then number three, I think my unique perspective. So because I am a lawyer, I was able to understand my legal, ethical, and compliance aspects of cybersecurity position quite clearly, right? And so that really helped me. Now, going on to what I had to learn, I had to it all started with a Google search, to be honest. It all started with a Google search and just trying to find myself, like, where exactly can I go with the skills that I currently have, right? And then after that, I started to check out the certifications that I really needed to do. And how did I find that out? I just basically went on LinkedIn, went to people's profiles. Like, I mean, if I liked your profile more and I wanted to be in your position, I would check you out and be like, what's this guy doing? How did this guy get here? What certifications does he have? What webinars does he attend? What does he share on his LinkedIn wall? Who's he following, by the way? Who is he commenting? Like, I mean, you know how you comment on people's posts and just like, right? So I did all of that, and then I got into certifications, mostly ISAC certifications and IAPP certifications. But yeah, I'll stop talking there.
Nice. So you got certified, and then you did a lot of investigation. You kind of looked at people who you wanted to be like, and you
Uh-huh.
worked backwards, and you said, what webinars did they go to? What training did they go through?
Mhm.
What do they read? And then you started doing those same things and mimicking and mirroring those who you wanted to be like.
Exactly. And I networked a lot with people. Like e-coffees were a huge deal for me at the time, just getting to speak with, if I liked a position, I'd reach out and say, oh, I really like your position. Could you advise me on how to get into this role? Could we have e-coffee or something? Just 15 minutes talk. And usually I met like a lot of really nice people who also helped me, even like Eddie with polishing my resume, because of course you have to work on your resume. I had to recraft my LinkedIn, just like rebrand myself. I mean, sometimes people just hire you because they like your LinkedIn, what's on it, right? So that was also really key for me.
Nice, nice. So the high level, I think because you already had lots of transferable skills, it was more so getting certified in security. So you kind of were self-taught, or did you go through a boot camp or university program that really was it for you?
I self-studied for it.
Wow, so you really self-studied to break into security.
Mhm.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, let's go to Eddie. Thank you, Ubong, for that. So Eddie, from your perspective, I guess my first question is: you actually offered Ubong a position to interview for, right? She had to earn it while you were mentoring her, knowing fully well she was coming from law, and you know how some folks just lie and say, "I'm already a cybersecurity expert for 10 years." You know, she was honest with you up front and told you, "Here's where I am, where I want to go," and you still said, "I have the confidence in you to interview you, and I think you'd be good for this position." What was your thinking as a hiring manager as to what she had that made her deserving of the interview in the first place?
That's a great question. And I think you touched on it. So, this is my side of the story, which is a little different from UB. So coming out of COVID, I still serve on the leadership team for Cybersecurity Gatebreakers. It's a nonprofit organization in the States. The goal is to help people break into cybersecurity, but we are focused on working with ISACA, with CompTIA, with SANS. So we're working with the industry leaders to sort of trickle down that change, and we work with hiring managers as well. So I gave a presentation, a webinar sort of like this, and there were over 3,000 people on the
Wow,
webinar.
amazing.
Most of them were new graduates from school who had no experience. The next day, I get a message from UB. I can't count, without exaggerating, at least 100 people sent me LinkedIn messages that day. I tried to go through all my messages. I skimmed through it really fast. UB stuck out to me because she started off with the truth. She was
Mm,
honest right from the beginning. She said, "This is who I am. This is what my background is." Nothing in her introduction said anything about cybersecurity or privacy, nothing. She was completely honest. I appreciated that. There were certain people who said some very amazing things. I go to their LinkedIn profile and it just did not match. So I respected the honesty. I was traveling for work at that time. So I sent her a message and I said, "Hey, I'm going to reach back out to you. I have to travel. I'm literally jumping on a flight. I just came through this and I think I want to talk to you." UB's reply was, "When should I get back to you to remind you to talk to me?" I appreciated that. And I think this was a Monday. I remember the day, Thursday, because I'd flown back from the States to Canada. I saw my LinkedIn message when I got down from the plane. UB said it. This is a reminder. This is the reminder I promised you. So in my mind, I was like, she's truthful. She keeps to her word. She follows up. Okay, I
mm,
need to get to know this person. So we jumped on a call and we just started talking. She told me about her background, and as we were talking, I realized that she was also open to learn. She was eager to learn more. She had a desire to fill in the gaps that she had. She had a good sense of what she didn't have, where she wanted to go. And I was like, okay, that's someone I can work with. So what UB doesn't know is that day, so I get off the plane in Toronto. I take another flight because of UB. I go to my office in person. I was working fully remote. I actually went to my office in person to go meet the CTO, and I said, I have found someone who is going to change this organization.
Really?
I am very serious, very, very serious. UB does not know this. So what the CTO said at that time, he said, we're not hiring now, Eddie. However, I will circle back with you. I kept going after him every week in our check-in. I was like, I have found someone who is going to change the organization. The reason why that was important to me is the organization was trying to break into the US market. We're trying to expand into Europe. As a cybersecurity expert, I needed someone who will be good with frameworks. So frameworks that I wasn't familiar with, and I knew I had a gap. I knew UB will fill that gap for me because she was a lawyer. If I threw any framework at her, she'll be able to learn it really quickly and interpret it really good for me. So I was also aware of what I wasn't good at. And I knew that if I could get her on my team, I was going to be exceptional. So there was an incentive for me, but that came with just our conversation. She started off being very truthful. She also did exactly what she said she was going to do. So I knew I didn't have to go chasing after her. Like working in a fully remote environment, your ability to communicate is very important. Your ability to fulfill your promises, do what you say you're going to do, highly important. So those things were so important to me. We literally created a role that did not exist in our organization for UB. Funny thing is, and this part, I don't know if she's aware. So we had an interview earlier in the year, hired her 6 months down the road. Within that time, and I don't know if you remember this, UB, by the time I spoke to her again, I told her, you have gotten a promotion. Because what happened to me was I got a promotion and I was like, I'm taking you with me. So because I got promoted, UB did not start in an entry-level position because I was taking her with me. And so I hired her in a different company. Our company got acquired. She got a promotion in a new company. So she started off in a senior privacy and security and privacy analyst role in the new company or the new merged company in the States after about 6 months of just chatting with her.
I have not heard half of the story before. Like this is new to me.
What I'm hearing is that if you make a strong impression with people and how you communicate, how you showcase your ability to do what you say you will do, and things of that nature. In fact, first of all, reaching out and networking, those are some of the key things that I'm hearing set you apart and will make a hiring manager go above and beyond to sponsor you. Sponsoring in the corporate term means there's rooms where decisions are being made. And if you're not in those rooms, you want somebody who is in those rooms to speak on your behalf. So we've talked a lot about soft skills so far. I do have a question from the chat from Patrick Spencer. Patrick, I love this question, right? Patrick says, feels a bit too good to be true, right? He's saying, cybersecurity typically needs some solid tech foundations. Not saying career switching is impossible, but how does somebody earn 6 figures with zero technical background? That's a stretch worth questioning. Now, we do know that there's lots of soft skills. Let's talk about the hard skills. I'm going to stick with, thank you, Ubi. Ubi says, I made 6 figures from day one. Now we know you had a background in law, and then you pivoted to security as a privacy compliance analyst, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe we can start with talking about the roles. Let's stick to Eddie, and then we'll come to UB. If you can just give us those roles, what are the job titles that are the best roles for those who are transitioning? Now, we have folks in the room, they're coming from project management, they're coming from healthcare, from customer service, from law, and they want to get into cybersecurity. What are the actual job titles they should be searching for? First part. And then what are the technical skills that they need to learn in addition to these soft skills?
Great question. So And I think this answer will also speak to the question that you just referenced from Patrick. So I initially was hiring UB for a policy analyst role. So a cybersecurity policy analyst in cybersecurity, especially if you're trying to get your ISO 27K certification, your organization has to put tons of policies in place. And you need someone to be able to really meet with everyone within the organization, different stakeholders, and design policies that actually work, not policies that are just top down. So a policy analyst role is a great one. Another entry role that I think is very good is the cybersecurity training specialist. So cybersecurity awareness specialist is a great entry role. And depending on the organization, this title can also be an entry role title that's a GRC specialist. Sometimes a GRC analyst can be an entry level role. You have to look at the job description. It will specifically, and this is very important, it will specifically say no experience required, because in cybersecurity, there's a lot of administrative work that we don't want our technical guys to do. We want the people who are learning. Another person I was mentoring at that time when I met UB, she was in customer service within our organization. I created a mentorship program for her, and what she was learning, we called her basically our cybersecurity admin specialist. Basically, what she was doing, any sort of communication that had to go out to our clients. So more on the assurance side of things, where a company reaches out to you and you have to confirm that you're keeping to X, Y, and Z, whether it's the SOC 2 certification, whether it's your ISO 27001 or 27002 certification. They want these assurances. Those compliance related activities are checkbox activities. You don't need the technical knowledge of how those encryption is put in place. You just need to know the script to write to test for that. So you can literally follow a procedure document and do that. I cannot have technical people doing that work. That's a waste of their resources. So we would usually hire an entry-level role, a cybersecurity admin, to take over this role. Security analyst sometimes is also an entry-level role, but it depends on the organization. Sometimes it could be a very technical role as well.
Thank you for sharing that, Eddie. UB, do you have anything to add to that in terms of, I guess, the technical skills that you have to learn to be able to qualify for these jobs on the screen?
Actually, sorry, I want to add something. Because one thing UB did, which I didn't mention, is after our first meeting, she sent me an email and she asked me for every certification, every training, free training that I could send her, that she could start preparing for the role that I was not even going to offer her after our first meeting. And I sent those things to her in an email, and I even said to myself, this is the first time I have sent a candidate what they need to become ready. But her eagerness to learn and a desire to know what certifications she needed to bridge that gap was very impressive to me. So sorry, UB, you can go ahead.
Yeah, that's quite true, and exactly where I wanted to pick up, from. Because if you remember at the time, ISC2, we were giving a free certification voucher in
That's
cybersecurity, the beginner friendly certification. And I did that. That was the first one I did. From then, I went on to do the Certified Information Privacy Technologist certificate with the IIPB, and I did that. But I remember that on Eddie's team at the time, we had two guys who were really leaning into security and technology, right? And so what I did was lean into my own strength to make myself indispensable. What do I mean? So basically, before Eddie would say jack about any law, any guideline, any regulation, I would have translated it into 2 pages and shared it with the team. So I made sure that everything that everybody hated to read, I read it and I summarized it. And so everybody had to come to me to translate laws, policies. If we had to talk to engineers about concepts like privacy by design and stuff like that, I was there with ready, simple examples to give them. I actually even had a whole folder on the different laws and the different regulations that the company had to adhere to, jurisdiction by jurisdiction. Talk about Canada, Ireland, US. I translated all of those. I hit the ground running on that. And that really made me stand out. The other thing I was really great at was security risk assessment. Oh, I loved to dig in and ask questions about the different risk. What kind of feature are you trying to build? Okay, what is the problem? What happened when you did the scan? What happened? And all of that, and just being able to collate it and use tools like OneTrust, like Splunk. It really did help me. So that's how I positioned myself here.
Got you. So the certifications I heard you did ISC2, Certified Information Privacy Technologist. Any other ones that were important that you want to highlight that are relevant today
At
in your
the,
role?
at the time before then, I already had my CIPPE, so that was
What does CIPPE mean?
Certified
Certified,
Information Privacy Professional of Europe.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Got you. So are those the ones that you're highlighting that are relevant to your job today that you feel like you were that were most important? So let's just dig in there. The ones that you want to recommend, for your role in cybersecurity policy analysis. You said ISC2, Certified Information Privacy Technologist, CIPPE. Anything else you want to highlight?
No, I mean just those two were okay for me. Remember that Eddie hired me as a policy analyst, right? So it just really depends on the job description that you're gunning for, I think.
You got it. Okay. Okay.
I do
Hey,
want to add to that the ISC2, the certification underneath that, which is also still free today. So I see people have asked that question in the chat. You can search for this. It's called Certified in Cybersecurity. So it's CC under ISC2. So ISC2, Certified in Cybersecurity, it is a certification you can get today for free.
Sounds good. Let's talk about the types of problems that we're solving for companies and why these problems are so valuable. Would any of you like to highlight how have you really helped businesses in a way that the value you're creating is so significant for them? Because I've seen on the flip side, we saw Meta get fined for 1.3 billion pounds or euros for not meeting compliance requirements and data protection. We saw Equifax get fined for 1.3 billion dollars. This is a billion with a B, not million. Like these are crazy numbers. So, is there any case studies you'd like to share of how the work you're doing is really helping some of your employers to stay protected and maintain their revenues and stay compliant? Anyone want to go?
Yubi, do you want to take that? I can answer this question, but this is the work Yubi is doing every day. So
Oh yeah, no, I can do this. And so basically, I just help companies save money. Apart from saving money, I help them build trust with their customers. Um, you know that we have to lean in a lot on people's data, right, to try to build products and stuff like that. And so if you're not able to comply with laws and regulations and deal with people's data ethically, if you're having cyber attacks every day, right, and stealing people's data in the way, um, you kind of like lose trust, right? And if you lose trust with people, people are not confident enough to give you their data. So just being able to ensure that you comply with the different regulations and different guidelines and different standards, global standards, and then protecting the trust of your customers by keeping their data safe. That's like saving the company a lot of money because you're keeping them from being slammed with fines. Just being able to manage cybersecurity risk as soon as you detect them, ensuring that you mitigate those risks or thinking ahead, of those risks before they even come to fore. And kind of like raising security awareness at the company that I currently am, right? So just being able to teach people, educating employees on threats and best practices, and just providing actionable insights and continually just monitoring and improving what we currently do to keep the company safe, save them money, ensure that we're building trust with our customers, keep our reputation good and shiny. Yeah, that's what I currently do.
Awesome. Thank you. Eddie, you have anything to share there in terms of, because let's think about job interviews, right? In job interviews, it's always about value. A lot of people go to job interviews and they're saying, just give me a job, like help me, please. I need the job. But it's not about that. It's really about being able to say, hey, the value I'm creating for you is way up here because we're saving millions and making billions, but the cost is here. And so how do you communicate that price to value discrepancy? What is that price to value discrepancy that you're creating for your employers today?
Great. I like the way you framed the question because I was going to add to what UB was saying. There are two things that you always want to think about, and in cybersecurity, it's a dichotomy. So it sounds counterintuitive, but we're always trying to create value. We're also trying to protect value. So you don't see the dollar savings when you're protecting value. However, one thing that we did in our organization is whenever there was any breach, we put together a little blurb to the senior leadership team and talked about the things we are doing that makes sure that we don't experience this cybersecurity event. So showing how you are protecting value, creating value, I think UB touched on that. Whenever you're interacting with a customer, and for every organization I have worked in, my team ends up also handling assurance. So assurance is if you're doing a B2B sort of contract, their compliance team or their risk team is going to reach out. They want to make sure that this organization is going to protect their data, is going to make sure that if there's any cybersecurity event, we can communicate with them. So you create value by providing these assurances to the organization. The way you communicate this in an interview is basically by being able to keep track of, let's say, the sales calls you were involved in, the dollar values that were generated from these sales calls, because you ought to remember that even when you have a technical cybersecurity interview, at one point in time, you would have a non-technical interview, let's say with an HR person or with the CTO, who will be looking for dollar values. They do care that you're technical, but they also care that you're able to communicate these technical situations in non-technical ways that people in upper management can understand, people on the front line can understand. So having that language to be able to communicate the value you bring with dollar values, very important. So keep track of what you're doing. Be involved in those calls with the sales team when you support someone, which ends up generating revenue. You have to keep track of it.
I like that. So you're saying that whenever a company is trying to sell software to another company, the buying company wants to know if I'm giving you my data or my project work, how are you keeping my data secure? And so in these sales call, the sales team and technical team will bring in the cybersecurity team to assure the client in that purchasing process to say, here's how we keep your data secure, correct?
Great. That's
In
exactly
addition,
right.
what I'm also hearing is that a lot of companies, like finance companies, for example, banks, they need to be compliant with certain regulations, like PCI compliance, whereby if they are not compliant, they cannot even do business in the first place. And so as a security professional, if you're helping a business be compliant with regulation, even healthcare, for example, HIPAA compliance, when you're helping these companies become compliant and stay compliant because these laws change, you're helping them maintain and create value. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. So these are various ways you actually help create value.
Great. So I'm going to take a question from Charles. I'm going to go to UB to ask, what's the typical day in a life like in your role? And your job title. Tell me your job title again first, so do you remember? And then typical day in the life of that job.
So, data protection officer and senior privacy risk analyst. I hold two job positions.
Let's say that again. So data protection officer and privacy risk analyst for those who are
Senior privacy risk analyst. Yes.
perfect. You gotta have the senior in there. Put some respect on her name. For those okay, let's continue. So what are you doing day to day? What does that look like?
So basically, it depends. I work cross-functionally, so I am that. Think about me as that middle bridge between legal and product management, project management,
Okay.
engineering. It kind of depends on what's happening. Let's take, for example, that we're building a new feature at my company. You have to check in with me first,
Okay.
basically.
Okay.
And we have to conduct a risk assessment for you. So
Okay.
either an AI risk assessment or security risk assessment or privacy risk assessment. What are we looking for? We're looking to see that new feature that you're building, how it's going to be affecting our customers, the people whose data that you might be using. Is there something that would go wrong? Is there a likelihood of a data leak, a cyber attack? Would you be creating a vulnerability by building this onto the product that we're currently offering? Are we going to be in compliance with laws? What jurisdiction are you looking at offering this to? Is this going to be in Europe? What European laws do we have to comply with? Are we currently compliant with those laws, or do we have to do something about it before you can build it on? So basically, that can be my life. Now, something else can also happen. Somebody can send the wrong documents to the wrong company, and we have a privacy incident, and I would have to be managing that file. That's also can also be my life. Some other days could be just really chill. Me horizon
Let's just
scanning.
call them that. So what does that mean? Let's say there's an incident right now. We get hacked. What do you do when you jump in?
Ooh. First, I try to keep everybody calm. And try to not let everyone share everything. I am trying to just legally keep everything in one place, keep it as it is until I know exactly what is wrong. Sometimes it's not really anything that happened, it's just people misunderstanding things, right?
Okay.
But sometimes it could also
So
be
you're
very
verifying what truly happened, and then keeping it on.
exactly.
Okay.
You've got to know. Because if people delete things off, then you might really lose track of what really happened. So you're not able to go to the bottom line of what really happened. You've got to be able to gather all of that evidence and check that evidence out. What kind of vulnerability is it? Why did we not catch it when we were scanning, let's say, the product exactly? Who did it affect? Or do we have to talk to anybody about it? Do we have to tell our customers about it? Do we have to report ourselves to the regulatory authority, depending on the impact of it, actually? Okay, and then what can we do to fix it? How many of our systems have been affected? Is the threat actor still in our systems? Let's say somebody got in the system, for example. How do we kick them out? That kind of thing. Do we have to worry about somebody coming to ask us for some money for a ransom or that kind of thing? Um,
Hmm.
okay,
What happens if they ask for money as a ransom? What are you gonna do?
I'm not gonna unrecord it. I actually don't want to get into
I don't
that.
mean what do you do, but I guess what's the protocol? What's the recommended protocol by the book?
Uh, I'm gonna skip that question and let Eddie answer it.
Okay. I would answer this because technically it will be a decision that a senior level person will make. You want to basically have a conversation with the board and decide on what steps to take, because you can either decide that we're not going to pay the ransom, but that is if you have the right backups to be able to get yourself back. Business continuity is your priority in those situations, and sometimes the ransomware will also affect your backup. There's no guarantee that paying the ransom will give you the right uh, decryption key, but sometimes some people have taken those risks and it's worked out well for them. So that's a decision that has to go to a governance committee to decide. Someone like Yubi will not make that decision. She would make a recommendation and say, well, I think this is bad. I have the security team have done the assessment. I've done the data privacy impact assessment, and this is really bad. It's going to cost us X amount of dollars if we have to pay this in fines. We compare that to what, let's say, the threat actor is asking for, and then we make a recommendation to the board that this is where we are at. There's no guarantee here, but we don't have backups as well. So it depends on the situation and what decision you make.
Interesting.
And
So
sometimes legally, you might not be allowed to pay a ransom
That's right.
legally.
interesting. Okay, let me recap that, right? So for those who asked, the question was, let's put the question up on the chat. And for those who have questions, please keep putting them in the chat. We're going to get to the end in a few minutes. So we're almost at the end of today's webinar. And for those who have just joined, we have folks on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. Thank you all for joining. This is Insider Secrets, how complete beginners are landing remote security roles and earning six figures fast. Now, the question was, what is a day in the life like for a cybersecurity analyst? Typically, like, for example, Ubi's role is a data protection officer, for example, right? And so she says, it looks like one, there's the work you do in building new things, right? And then there's the work we do in responding to issues. So there's protective work, preventive work, and there's responsive work, responding to incidents. Am I correct so far?
Yes, you are, and proactive work too. So horizon scanning for new laws and regulations.
That's the third piece. So let's break that down. The first is, the third you just said is proactive, like scanning what new laws have come about that we're impacted by. Mm-hmm. Then there's kind of reactive, what issues have we faced that we need to address? And the first one is we are actively building out a new feature, ensuring that we're mitigating risk there, correct? Mm-hmm. Now, breaking that down, it looks like we're reviewing new features. The product management team wants to add a new feature, integrate with a third-party product, integrate with OpenAI, ChatGPT, or whatever. How do we ensure that that third party will not divulge our data, or we want to build a new product ourselves? How do we ensure that we stay compliant and not become vulnerable? So that's what you're doing to ensure that the product team gets advisory from you, first of all, correct? Mm-hmm. Then you're managing incidents to ensure that if something bad does happen, you figure out what is the impact of this issue that just happened, right? You look at also, how many people is this impacted by? What is the potential loss to our business if we continue with this incident and don't address it? How do we even address the issue? Then there's also reporting to authorities, because legally, especially I know in Canada and in the US, if you are a company and you do get hacked and your customer data is leaked out, you have to report that and say, hey, I'm reporting myself. Like in high school, I'm in trouble. Here's what I did, right? So that's kind of like what day-to-day looks like, okay? So at this point, everyone, let's actually talk about, hey guys, I want to also send an apology to the group. I know there was a communication gap. One of the team members at Skill had made a boo-boo. When they were putting in the event time, they put it the wrong time zone by accident. So a lot of folks came in at the wrong time, couldn't figure out when it was happening, and it started a little bit after that. So I want to apologize on our behalf of Skill Hat. Sorry about the miscommunication. It was a small error. That's the thing about technology and errors. A small error in choosing time zone confuses hundreds of people, right? It's kind of crazy. These things do happen. So once again, we apologize. This whole thing has been recorded. For those who are just joining, it's about how beginners are landing security roles. And I can't do a summary just yet, because the next segment in this after this panel is talking about how we will help you at Skill Hat to make that transition, and working with Eddie, Ubi, and some other team members. And then also we're going to come back to have the speakers answer your final questions in the chat. So let me share my screen briefly, and I'm going to walk you guys through the roadmap of how we can help you break into cybersecurity and land a fantastic position if you so choose, okay? So this should take about another 5 to 6 minutes. So let's talk about how we're going to help you land that great position. There's multiple roles in GRC. So at Skill Hat, as of this moment, we are trying to help the non-technical folks get into security first. And then we're going to help you get into the more technical roles sometime later on this year. Okay. So if you are looking to get into some of the roles that we've heard, we've heard Ubi talk about going from a lawyer to being a cybersecurity policy analyst, for example, data protection officer, doing non-technical work, but leading projects that are key to keeping companies protected. If that's you and you want to make that real for yourself, type me in the chat. If that's you and you want to make that real for yourself, type me in the chat. I want to know who is interested in this. There's common GRC roles, which means governance, risk, and compliance, which is where we focus at SkillHat as of today. So governance focused, titles like GRC manager, IT governance analyst. Risk focus, titles like risk analyst, cyber risk analyst. Compliance focus, as you see, compliance officer, privacy officer. You can take a picture of this, but again, these slides are sent to you. This is all recorded, right? Then we have audit focus, and then you have other roles as you see on screen. These are common titles that you can search on LinkedIn. The thing I don't like about cybersecurity, unlike project management and other roles I train for and I do, is you can't just do one search and everything shows up. Eddie taught me this. I was so pissed off, right? You have to search each of these different roles. You have to search GRC manager, see what role comes up, apply. Then you search cyber risk analyst, see what role comes up, and then you apply, right? Apparently that's how it goes. Eddie will speak about that whenever he comes back towards the end. So these are different roles that you can qualify for working with us at SkillHat in only about 3 to 6 months, depending on how fast you go through it. Now, interesting enough, I'm seeing that the highest paying certifications in cybersecurity and IT on the right side. Let me try and zoom in a little bit to this. Let's see if this works. So yeah, this worked a little bit. The highest paying certifications, which you see on the right side, about 127K mean, which means the average, and 122K, are certifications around the governance, risk, and compliance side. So kind of the people who are leading the projects, communicating across stakeholders, making sure we're keeping the company safe, translating what the technical complexities are to business values and real English that we can take action on, right? For example, C-Risk, certification in risk systems and control. Certified Information Security Manager, CISM, and CISA, Certified Information Systems Auditor. These are certs that the top in IT. The PMP is actually right up there as well at 105K average. These are all certs that you can take that companies pay well for, and you can get the training for them through SkillHat. So let's keep going. Now, here's some job descriptions you see. I'll share this with you guys later. These are new hot posts that just came up last week. Security compliance analysts up to 122K a year, doing things like audits and assessments, updating compliance policies. Sure, you guys can't really see this. It's a little bit small. Training people. This is a huge part because they say in security, the number one vulnerability of a company is its people. Any bad actor could just download the whole database and go give it to the bad guys. It's crazy. Right now, of course, there's measures in place, but people need to be trained within organizations. That's a big part of the role as well, right? Monitoring regulatory changes. So Ubung talked about this. How do you keep monitoring changes happening in the industry and advising your business to say, hey, here's the impact of this new regulation on our business, and here's what we have to do differently. So we avoid the fine that Facebook got hit with 1.3 billion. I just found out. I didn't even know this. If you are a business and you have one customer using your product in Europe, even though you have 1 million in America, you are now exposed to GDPR regulations, and you have to be compliant with GDPR. So much regulation that companies have to abide by. They'd rather pay you 100K a year than lose millions in fines. And so our program at SkillHat is called the Cybersecurity Governance, Risk, and Compliance Bootcamp, the GRC Bootcamp, to launch your career in cybersecurity and get paid to protect businesses, because a cyber attack happens every 39 seconds. We've been on this call for about an hour and 15 minutes. In that time, there have been over 75 attacks on companies in this short time. And so they want to avoid this, and that's where you come in. Because, like I said at the beginning of today, okay, there's lots of. Let me go back to this because this is important. For those who have just joined, welcome. I said something very important at the beginning, okay? There's lots of uncertainty today. It's a delicate place today in the world with tariffs and trade wars. And when the elephants are fighting, those of us who are not the leaders, we are on the grass, we're getting stomped on. And layoffs are happening, and people are scared and uncertain. However, this is not the time to observe and see what's really happening. You know, Meek Mill said there are three kinds of people: people who make things happen, people who watch things happen, and people who don't even know what the hell is going on. You want to be the one making things happen and not just observing, taking action. And Warren Buffett said this: when people are greedy, be fearful. When people are fearful, which is right now, be greedy and double down. You want to double down on two things today: security skill sets and AI skill sets. We're doubling down on that at Skill Hat right now. And so here's how you double down with our security bootcamp, which is taught by these folks in the room today with Eddie. So, like I said, cyber attack protection is a big opportunity, and two, AI compliance. I went to my doctor recently. You know, I was working my ass off. I kind of got stressed. I went to her to de-stress and talk about why I was having headaches. And she said, she's talking to me, you know, saying, "More, you're looking good. Your vitals look good, but you know, you gotta stress a little bit less." And I noticed that she's not even taking any notes, because we know that doctors always take notes furiously as you're giving them your issues. And I looked on the computer, and she had an AI note taker taking notes for her. I was like, whoa, this AI was listening to everything that we were saying and diagnosing our conversation in real time. And I asked her, how did this happen? Like, she said, yeah, we had a whole IT team who came and implemented this, and we had a security team to ensure that our conversation is protected by health compliance laws. I also had a conversation last week with one of our senior PMs in healthcare. This was our webinar last Sunday. She said, in healthcare, every single hospital right now is trying to implement AI assistance for these doctors, but they have to be compliant with law. This is where you come in. One, protect businesses from attacks, and two, help them advance with AI and technology compliance. This is where you come in, because 75% of businesses across the world are investing in AI. There's a high demand. Cyber is the one space in technology where there's more jobs than people, and people still can't find jobs. So we're going to bring Eddie on later to answer the question, why is it that people still can't find jobs, even though there's more jobs than people who are qualified? What I'm hearing is that the challenge is a lot of folks are missing that balance of technical and soft skills. You got to have both. There's huge demand. The money pays well. You know, there's roles I'm going to show you at Amazon making up to $300K a year. What? That's crazy money. Right? There's job security. It's going to keep growing because AI will keep growing exponentially. And you can grow. So Eddie is right here as a CRO, Chief Risk Officer. You can start from being an analyst, being an officer, being a manager, a director, a VP. There's an incredible opportunity to advance, which I love. This is what I was talking about. This is Amazon. This is their pay scale site where we're seeing level 4 is making $312K a year. What? In security at Amazon. And so we have a great team here at Skill Hat who will be working with you in our program. We have Eddie. You've heard from him today. We have Danny. And then Joan. Joan here is going to work with you to actually ensure that you make that jump. Right? Not just learn the skills, but ensure you translate the skills you've learned into a resume that makes them call you when they see it, and interview skills that make you wow the interviewer when you talk to them. Don't just take my word for it. This is Ubi's actual testimonial about Eddie on his LinkedIn profile, saying Eddie is an exceptional teacher and mentor in security. Right? Other ones for Melody, I'm honored to share my experience of Eddie as a mentor. And Eddie has spared no effort to help me in the field and guide me. And this is our other instructors' testimonials from Raj, with Danny right here helping land his first position. Okay. And so there's lots of success stories, people who've done it. If they've done it, you can do it too. Now, here's the gap on high-paying tech job in cybersecurity. First is the skills, technical skills, the soft skills, the tools, certification. Listen, if you remember anything today, remember this slide. Take a picture of the slide. This is your roadmap to success. You have to solve for all these 4 gaps, not just one. First is, of course, the skills, right? And I'll give you a metaphor here. A lot of folks want to lose weight, and they just do one thing. They just keep going to the gym. But you won't lose weight if you only go to the gym, and you won't build muscle dense enough if you only go to the gym. You have to do the other things. It's a full cycle solution. You got to work out, and you have to sleep well. You have to eat healthy, stay hydrated, and even avoid stress, right? To grow and build muscle or lose weight. So same thing in making a pivot in a career. There's 4 gaps you have to fill, not just one, because each one you don't fill makes it just harder. So first, the skills gap, the technical skills and the soft skills and the tools and the certification. So even within the skills, we're broken into 4. Then you have to have the hands-on experience. That's in a cross-functional team, leading projects, building products to get hands-on experience. And I'll give you a metaphor here. Imagine you had a leaky toilet. It was nasty leaking in your home, and you have to get it fixed. And you could choose one of 2 plumbers, plumber A, plumber B. You have to make a decision who you're going to work with. Now, plumber A went to the Harvard of plumbing. He fixed 0 toilets in that time, though, but he watched 100 YouTube videos and he has a certificate. Now, plumber B, on the other hand, did not go to school for plumbing. Instead, plumber B, what he did was he interned under a master plumber, and in that time, he fixed 10 toilets on your street. Who would you go with? B, who fixed 10 toilets on your street without a degree, or A, who has a great degree, but has never actually done it for a real customer before? Who would you go with? Plumber A or plumber B? Put in the chat. Let me know you have a leaky toilet. Who would you go with? A or B? Now, as you'll see in the chat, most folks would rather go with plumber B. And that's because they have the actual experience to show for it, and they can show you that they've actually done it. Okay. As we'll see in the chat from Wally and the others, most people go with B. And so same thing. Whenever we're applying for jobs and trying to pivot, we have to do the job before, rather, I'll take that back. You have to do the work before the job. You have to go do the work and solve the problems for employers and take those stories and showcase that the way the plumber who fixed toilets on your street will do and say, hey, I fixed your neighbor's toilet. I fixed your, the guy across the street's toilet. He had the same issue as you. Now you have more faith. You have to solve that number 2 problem. Very important. Number 3 is your marketability. How do you market yourself? Right? Another metaphor here. If you went to the grocery store to buy yogurt and you see the yogurt in the pack, it looks good. You see the name, you see the fonts. You take it home, you try it, you like it, you keep buying it. You're happy because it was marketed well. The design, the branding, and everything. Now, if you went to the same grocery store and you saw the same exact product, but it was in the black box, it was leaking, it was nasty, it had typos on it, you wouldn't buy that yogurt, but it's the same product. And that's the same thing with many of us. We have the skills, we have the experience, we have that, but we are not marketing ourselves well enough with our resume, our storytelling, and our LinkedIn profiles. That's your marketability right there. Your resume that speaks for you when you're not in the room. So when you apply for roles, they call you. Your LinkedIn that verifies, and then your interview skills, because the LinkedIn will bring jobs to you. If you have a strong LinkedIn, jobs will apply to you and not even you applying to jobs. And then the third thing is your interview skills. You want to interview so well that when you interview, when you're done, the interviewers look at themselves and say, yeah, that's our guy. And before you even get downstairs in the building, they call you to come back upstairs. We're going to give you the offer. We've seen that happen at Skillhead a number of times. And the fourth is your network. Like Ubi just talked about, was networking with Eddie. And through that process, whenever Eddie saw that she was good and he had a position, he called her and said, hey, I have a job for you. Let's go interview. Right? Your network is your net worth. So you want to solve for all these 4 gaps to land any high-paying job in tech. And that's exactly what we do for you at Skillhead. How do we do that? The first step is our GRC training. It's a 12-week program, incredible program that we looked at the exact skill sets you need to make that transition from a non-technical role or even a technical role into being a cybersecurity analyst. Understanding regulation, risk assessment, compliance, technology of security. This is a course Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 12:30 to 3:30. Taught by Eddie and Danny, who are C-level security professionals. You become certified by SkillHat and learn the tech skills as well of a security analyst. The next cohort starts this May. I think it's the end of May. We only have a few spots left, and I'll show you how to register for that program. Again, it's Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 12:30 to 3:30. This is the training that you need to double down on the security opportunity, which will catapult you to success and keep you successful for the foreseeable future because of the opportunity that's so large. Then after this 12-week program, you can start applying for jobs on your own. However, remember, the second gap you want to solve is the hands-on experience gap, which is what we have a program called the Managed Internship. So we have a group of recruiters who we've hired to help you get hired. They work at SkillHat, and their job is to go talk to employers, startups, hospitals, banks, to say, we've trained all these people, reserve spots for them so they can intern and work with you. That's part 2 of the program. You can elect to do that. It's not mandatory. The Managed Internship, where you get 8 weeks hands-on internship part-time with a tech company or a tech team in a traditional business, like a bank or a hospital. Now, through those 8 weeks of doing work with a company, you're going to be showing wins and building wins, helping them solve their problems, which makes you that plumber B I talked about. Those who are just joining, welcome to How Beginners Are Landing Remote Six-Figure Job in Security. I'm showing you the flywheel of how we do it at SkillHat, from the first thing, which is the course, to the Managed Internship. Now, the Managed Internship, you will also have live coaching calls as you do the work. So you're not just doing the work with the company. You have a coach who's helping you every week to make an impact in that company. Because it's not just about the experience. It's about experience that drives value for the business. Because that story is what you're going to use to wow the next interviewer about how you've won in your current role in the internship. Also, we can actually show you ways to just start doing security work in your current company if you so desire. That's part 2, right? And I see a question in the chat already. At any point in the time, ask me any questions. Does the 8 weeks start after the 12-week? The answer is yes. So it's one by one. And just to over clear, if you already have gone through a boot camp or a university degree, you can just go straight to the internship. But we're going to vet you first to ensure you do have the skills. So you can just jump to step number 2, by the way, and say, hey, I've done training. I don't have any experience. Put me in an internship, and we'll do that for you in only 2 weeks to about 6 weeks, depending on how quickly we can do it, depending on what roles are available in our employer pool. Okay, so that's step 2, the Managed Internship. Now, of course, if you're taking the course with SkillHat, you can go to step number 2 after step number 1. Okay, any further questions, please ask in the chat. Now, step number 3 with SkillHat is the coaching, the 6-figure navigator, where we provide you with an incredible coaching course that I built myself on how to sell yourself so well in the resume using some hacks that nobody even knows, storytelling, and your LinkedIn branding. We're going to help you rebrand your LinkedIn profile to show yourself as a security professional, no matter where you're coming from. And then we're going to prep you one-on-one for interview. So me and you are going to do role play. Right, I'm going to bring you on into a Zoom meeting, and I'm going to ask you questions that you can expect in the interview. Hear your responses, record those with our AI, and show you what you can do better and say better. That is gold. That is what's going to transform you so you're answering the questions with confidence in the job interview. Okay. In addition, we have AI that we use that will apply for jobs for you. Listen, guys, I hate applying for jobs personally. That's where we all get stuck. And so we have a tool, it's our AI tool, that when you're sleeping, you're just going to wake up and see, oh, I have 5 interviews today, right? Or I have emails asking me to interview. I don't want to apply for jobs. I want to just wake up and see people calling me to come interview. I've done this before, right? What I did initially was I hired a virtual assistant in the Philippines and one in Nigeria. I was paying them $100 a month to apply for jobs for me. And that's how I got my last 6-figure job. I didn't even apply for one job. People were applying for me. But now with AI, these bots that we have at Skill Hack can apply for jobs for you. And we've seen incredible success. One of our alumni was looking for a job for a while, and she used this tool, and within 48 hours, she had 4 interviews. And she was actually applying manually before. Now, how does the AI do it? The AI will actually look at your resume and the jobs you want, and it will only apply for jobs that have a strong match to that resume. Now, of course, without a good resume, you're not going to be successful with the AI. The first thing is, do you have a good resume? And also, in a competitive market, if there's competition and others are better than you, good luck. But in cybersecurity, there's a lot of positions. So in summary, again, the 6-figure navigator, the one-on-one coaching helps the marketability with your marketability, including what's the right role for you. We help you with the resume, help you with the LinkedIn repositioning and rebranding. We will help you with LinkedIn content creation and storytelling so that you're posting content on LinkedIn that's bringing your profile a lot of views, right? We're going to show you how to do that as well. A lot of you in here see me on LinkedIn. I post every single day. Always go viral. How do we help you go viral? We're going to help you do that as well. And then we have the AI that will apply to jobs for you. That's step 3, marketability. Again, step 1 is the course. Step 2 is the internship. Step 3 is coaching. And step 4 is networking. We have a lot of networking events we do internally at SkillHab. We bring in experts. We have in-person events in the US and Canada. By the way, on May 17th, we're in Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas on May 17th. The event is called, I forgot the name of the event. Yes, it's called the Boardroom to Startup Summit. It's for tech folks who want to get into businesses, though. That's a little bit more advanced. We can still come and network in Houston, Texas on May 17th. We have other events online. And so that's the next piece, networking. Because like Ubi said, networking was key to her success. And then once you now land that position, we don't leave you. We then move you to another program called 7-Figure Boardroom, where now you're in a 6-figure job. How do you get to 7 figures? How do you get to make $1 million? The net worth. That's the program. That's a crazy program. No one even knows about it. Only for those who are insiders and have those jobs. You have a one-on-one coach who's a VP in technology or a C-level executive. And we have training every week to help you not just keep the job, but grow in the job. And that's the last piece. Now, as far as how much the program costs, let's go through that shortly. But before I talk about that, the question is, who is this for? Is this for you? Okay. This is for people who are new to security, right? Giving you a step-by-step framework to becoming job ready, but also those who already work in tech. If you're a project manager, if you're a customer service, customer success, if you are in healthcare, law, right? And you want to pivot into cybersecurity, you're going to get the skills you need. Now, even if you want to get the technical piece of security, like ethical hacking and pen testing, GRC is a great foundation to have the business acumen and contextual understanding to lead the technical side as well. Okay. Now, who is this not for? If you want a get rich quick thing, I'm sorry, it's not get rich quick. This will take time. You got to get off Facebook and get your face in the book. How long? Minimum 3 months of training. If you need the training. If you've been trained already, put you in an internship tomorrow. Start doing the work right now to build the skills and the story, and then start working with the coach right now. So that's going to be a lot quicker if you've gone through training. If you haven't gone through training, that's 3 months of training, and then you start applying for jobs while you're interning. Okay. This is not for people who want us to do the work for them. People message me all the time and say, hey, Mo, I just need a job. If you can help me get a job, I'll give you half my salary, and you do the work for me, and I'll just be paying you. We'll just split the revenue. We don't do that. That's Skill Hack, right? And so, how much is this program? Let's get into the pricing. And so, here's where you are now. You want to land a job and get here as an employed security analyst with the course with Skill Hack, managed internship, and one-on-one career coaching. Now, you can do this by yourself, actually, like Ubi did it, right? You can. Typically, you have to go through lots of stuff by yourself, and it's not a strong chance of success, but it's a low cost. Second way is go to university. Great opportunity as well. Great quality, but you're not going to get into an internship. You're not going to get strong one-on-one coaching, the hacks that we have working with experts who are doing the job day to day. And then you have skill hack. Going through the full 4-gap method, learn the skills, get the experience, get an internship, get to become highly marketable, and then being able to get into a network of success. Typically, university will cost you about 11 to 20K. Our program pricing is around $4,000 to $5,000. So let's break that down. The first piece, the security training, is $3,500. The internship that's managed with the coach is $3,500. And the one-on-one coach is $1,300, which is a total of $8,300 for the program. The good part is when you do get everything together, you get a massive discount, which is $5,700 for the full program. Now remember, you can go straight to only the internship if you want, if that's what you need to get the experience and the coaching, and it comes with one-on-one. Or you can go for the training alone and skip the internship. We are very flexible here. So if you're thinking this is for you or you want to learn more, I encourage you to book a call with me right now. We have spots this evening, myself and my colleagues, to connect with you, learn about your experience, and actually see if this is the right thing for you. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. We'll figure it out on that call. And we're going to build your personalized roadmap to success to land a high-paying cybersecurity position. Okay, so if this is for you, book a call with me. I will put the link in the chat. The link to book a call, all you have to do is go to skillhat.ca/cybersecurity. I'll put it in the chat. skillhat.ca/cybersecurity. Once you hit up that web page, it'll take you to the website to learn about the program, the training course, the managed internship, the one-on-one coaching you get, and everything. Learn about it, see what happens week by week. Make sure this is for you if you have time. But I recommend you book a call right away. That's the first thing you need to do. Just book a call. Go to the website, click Speak to Learning Advisor, and you could book a call with me tonight. Spots fill up quick, and the cohort is filling up. This cohort starts in May at the end of the month. Okay, so book a call with me tonight or sometime early this week. Let's talk about it, or just go ahead and enroll. Click register now. Enroll for just the course alone with SkillHat, or the managed internship and the course, or the internship alone that's managed. With that being said, I'm going to bring back on our esteemed guests to answer some more questions. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I know we're running a little bit over, so thank you again. I just wanted to start by saying thank you. How are you guys feeling, Ubong and Eddie?
Pretty good. Feeling really good. This has been great.
Fantastic, fantastic. What's your favorite part of today so far, Eddie, in terms of today's webinar?
For me, it's the questions that everyone was asking. I think that you touched on a few things that George from Pong did ask a question in the chat that I think you addressed. Brander also asked a question about resumes, which you've touched on. And I feel like people are getting the answers that they're looking for. So, yeah.
Fantastic. How about you, Ubi? What's your favorite part of today so far?
I just felt like people really related to stuff that I was talking about. So real life examples really work. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. So let's take some more questions. Let's see what questions have we not answered in the chat. Someone said, I was expecting to hear Ubi speak on the personal legal risk she stands as. I'm not sure what stands mean. Maybe they mean to say sees as an organization's data and privacy. Do you understand what this question is? Do you get the question?
Not really, but maybe the person wants me to talk more about the legal aspect of being a data protection officer.
That's what I think as well. I think that's what they want to.
So basically, being a data protection officer really has to do with regulatory compliance, right? So apart from getting my company to comply with different laws and different guidelines, the second thing, depending on whether you're B2B or B2C, you really have to attend to data subject request. So that simply means that the data subject can reach out to your company and say, "Oh, what kind of data do you have on me? Oh, I want you to delete my data. Oh, I think you have the wrong data and I need you to correct it." So that can also happen. Third bit of things is that I advise C-suite executives on how to get compliant with what's coming. So horizon scanning. So let's say that I know that there's a law in parliament, for example. I have to already look into that law, look into the draft of that law, and see exactly where we're at, what we need to do to comply when that law kicks in, that kind of thing. So that also works. From the fourth angle, I truly hope I'm answering this person's question and not just going off, right? So maybe I'll stop here and hope that I have answered
Okay,
this person's
I'll
question.
add a little bit to that. So from a risk perspective, as chief risk officer, my role is to make sure that no one actually comes after UB. So organizations will have an insurance program in place that covers officers and directors. So if someone even decides to sue UB because she said something or did something, it usually first comes to the organization and it hits our insurance program before it actually gets to the individual. So most companies will have a directors and officers insurance program that will cover personal legal risk. So hopefully that's addressing the specific question there.
Awesome. So once again, for everyone who maybe joined later, still in the room, thank you all. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. We've talked about the fact that right now, when everyone's fearful, you want to be greedy and double down. This is the time to double down on investing in yourself in two areas, in AI and cybersecurity. And so if you are looking to learn more about that, go to skillhat.ca/cybersecurity. We have a great program in cybersecurity governance, risk, and compliance taught by Eddie. You can enroll for the program starting May 31st, which is only 3 months to become a cybersecurity analyst, or you can book a call with us tonight or anytime this week to really talk about. This is a free call, by the way. It's a free call to learn about your background and give you a personalized roadmap to tech success in cybersecurity. We'll take one or two more questions. Now, this is for Eddie. It says, for a person already in the assurance and audit space, what do you suggest is a good certification to start with apart from CISA, CISA?
That's a great question. So it depends on where you want to go with your assurance and audit career. So I have the CISA. I also took C-Risk. And Mo did talk about C-Risk, still under the same umbrella of ISACA. So if you have CISA, you're already familiar with the way ISACA asks questions. I'm sure Charis, you know exactly what I'm saying, because ISACA has a special way they ask questions. So I would certainly advise you to take C-Risk. It sort of bridges the gap between the audit function, which is also a risk function, but it also introduces some IT knowledge that supports cybersecurity. And then from there, the next step will be the CSIM, which is the CISM, also under ISACA. Because you are starting with CISA, I think it will be easier for you to stay in that field of ISACA just because the questions are very similar and the courses will all integrate. I have all three certifications, so I can speak to that very accurately. It will be an easier route for you and you'd understand things better because they sort of feed into each other.
Thanks for sharing that, Eddie. There's another question which says, I need help with my resume. I've done several applications with no callback. This is a bit of a vague question only because we don't really know, what you're applying for, what your background was, and how the resume looks. But is there any general advice you can give to improving resumes in this space?
I actually noted who sent this. I think that was from Brenda. Oh, it's right there. Okay, yes. So that's Brenda. So Joan, as part of the group, so myself and Danny are the instructors. Joan is responsible for supporting in this area. Mo also spoke to the program that we have that will support you. The importance of that program is we need to have a one-on-one conversation with you. We need to really understand who you are, the way you speak, the way you answer questions. We need to know your story. There is no cheap, simple way to craft a resume because it's supposed to be your resume. So getting into that program that Mo talked about will be a very great way. And Joan is someone who will certainly help with this.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Thank you so much. Please let's give him a round of applause. And if you got value from today's session, please put a V in the chat. Let them know you got value from them volunteering their time on a Sunday afternoon to talk about their careers in cybersecurity, how they broke in, and how they're helping others break into cybersecurity. One of the hottest opportunities right now that will keep growing in the near future due to the rise of artificial intelligence and the uncertainties in the world and the bad actors. So once again, if you got value today, thank you, Charles, Faith, for putting a V in the chat. If you got value, put a V in the chat. Once again, we are available tonight and throughout the week to have a conversation with you one-on-one. Just go to skillhat.ca/cybersecurity. That's skillhat.ca/cybersecurity. Book a call with us to learn about your background or enroll in the program if it's a fit for you. With that being said, once again, Eddie, we appreciate your time. Have a great night, everyone. God bless.
Bye, everyone.
God bless. See ya.
Take care. God bless. Thank you.